Carter Dell stood frozen, staring at the glowing notification on his tablet. He read it once, twice, maybe 5 times. His morning had started like any other, checking the nutrient levels of his latest terraforming project while sipping a subpar cup of synthetic coffee in his greenhouse on some distant moon colony. Nothing in his routine could have prepared him for this. Congratulations! You've won the Intergalactic Union Lottery. Your prize, a Zealand wife. The message blinked at him, almost too cheerful for something so bizarre. A wife? An alien wife, to be specific. Carter blinked hard, running his hand through his unruly dark hair. He wasn't sure how to process this absurd twist of fate. He didn't even remember entering any lottery. Apparently, buying that rare packet of flowering seeds from a galactic vending machine had been enough to qualify him. A wife, he muttered, feeling his pulse race. He shook his head in disbelief. From across the greenhouse, his co-worker and best friend, Tarek, glanced over. "What's got you all wide-eyed, Carter?" he asked, peering at the tablet. "Oh man, did you seriously win a space bride or something?" Carter shot him a look. "I didn't order anything. I won her. Apparently, the universe thinks I need a more exciting love life." Tarek's laughter echoed through the greenhouse. "Well, look at you, growing alien plants, and now starting an interspecies romance. What's next? You teaching her to love gardening?" Carter chuckled, though disbelief still clung to him. Dating had never been his strength. He was a botanist in space, after all. His relationships usually involved soil analysis, not candlelit dinners. And now he had a wife, a blue-skinned alien one at that. "Well," Carter sighed, getting up from his workstation, "I guess I'll find out soon enough." A week later, he found himself on the docking platform of a colossal space station orbiting Thalox Prime, the political heart of the Intergalactic Union. His head still spun from how fast everything had happened. Legal paperwork, travel arrangements, it all blurred together. Now, somewhere inside this gleaming station, his prize awaited him. He had done some research on the Zealands, proud, warrior-like, but details were vague. What were their customs? Would she be anything like humans? He hadn't found much that was helpful. As the doors to the reception room slid open with a soft hiss, Carter took a deep breath. The room was sleek, filled with polished metallic surfaces and smooth edges. But his eyes were drawn immediately to the figure by the viewing window. She was tall, elegant, with a deep blue glow to her skin that shimmered in the low light. Her long, dark hair cascaded down her back, and when she turned, Carter felt his breath catch. She was stunning. Her features were softer than he expected for someone from a warrior race, her large eyes studying him with an amused curiosity. She wore a silver gown that clung to her graceful frame, and despite her alien appearance, something about her felt magnetic. "You must be Carter Dell," she said, her voice smooth and edged with playfulness. "You're smaller than I imagined." Carter blinked, scrambling to find words. Thanks?" He cringed internally at how dumb he sounded. The alien woman, his wife, apparently, laughed, a melodic sound that danced in the air. "Relax, human. I'm teasing," she said, stepping forward with a fluid grace. "I'm Nyra. Your prize." Carter rubbed the back of his neck, still processing the situation. "So, you're my wife then?" Nyra raised an eyebrow, a smirk tugging at her lips. "Seems so. But don't think I'm just some trophy. This is as strange for me as it is for you." She grinned mischievously. "But who knows? This could be fun." Carter couldn't tell if he should laugh or panic. "Fun, huh?" She stepped closer, her eyes gleaming with humor. "You're a botanist, right? A man in love with dirt and leaves. Intriguing. I wonder what else you're passionate about." Carter felt a blush creep up his neck. "Plants don't talk back. They're simple." Nyra tilted her head, her smile softening. "Well, I'm not that simple, Carter." Later that day, after the formalities were dealt with, Carter and Nyra were shown to their temporary living quarters aboard the station. The suite was spacious, with sleek furnishings and a grand window offering a view of the stars. Carter couldn't shake the surreal feeling that this beautiful, blue-skinned woman was now part of his life. That evening, They sat together on a plush couch, sharing some alien cuisine. Carter poked at his meal, still adjusting to how much his life had changed, while Nyra watched him with that same playful smirk. "So," Nyra began, casually, "you're really into these plants of yours, huh?" Carter nodded, swallowing a bite. "Yeah, I've spent most of my career terraforming moons, creating self-sustaining ecosystems. It's kind of my thing." Nyra's eyes gleamed with genuine interest. "Terraforming, reshaping barren worlds to support life? Impressive for such a young species." Carter chuckled. "It's a lot of trial and error. You'd be surprised how many Earth plants can't survive off-planet." Her gaze softened, and for the first time since they'd met, the teasing edge in her voice disappeared. "You really care about this, don't you? It's not just a job." Carter hesitated, feeling oddly vulnerable. "Yeah, it's life. Creating something that can thrive even in harsh conditions. It matters." Nyra smiled, her tone gentler now. "I understand that more than you think." That night, Carter found Nyra by the window, gazing at the stars, her expression contemplative. When he approached, she turned to him. "Do you think this can work?" she asked quietly. Carter frowned. "What do you mean?" "Us," she said, gesturing between them. "I know we didn't choose this, and we're from different worlds. I just wonder." Carter thought for a moment before responding. "I didn't expect this either, but I'm willing to give it a shot." "You?" Nyra's gaze softened, a small smile tugging at her lips. "You're different from the humans I've met. You care about things that grow. Maybe we can make this work." Before they could explore their newfound connection further, the station's alarms blared. A voice crackled over the intercom. "Security breach. Hostile ships detected. All personnel prepare for evacuation." Nyra's calm demeanor evaporated, replaced by sharp focus. "We need to go. Now." They raced through the station as it shuddered beneath them. "Pirates," Nyra explained, targeting diplomatic hubs like this one. They barely made it to a shuttle before the station was overrun, launching into space just as explosions rocked the docking bay. The shuttle crash-landed on a remote, barren moon, leaving them stranded. Using Carter's knowledge of survival and Nyra's combat instincts, they set up a temporary camp, rigging the shuttle systems to create breathable air and finding water from the moon's frozen surface. As they worked together, their bond deepened. What had started as an awkward, unexpected partnership was slowly becoming something real. One evening, as they sat by a small fire under the alien sky, Nyra leaned against Carter, her usual guardedness gone. "You surprise me," she said softly. "How so?" She looked up at the stars, her eyes reflecting the distant light. "You're not like other humans I've met. You're patient. You nurture life." Carter smiled, feeling her warmth. "I guess I'm not like most guys." Nyra smiled back, her hand resting gently on his. "I think I'm starting to see that." As they sat there, surrounded by the vast emptiness of space, they found warmth in each other. No longer just a lottery prize. Their connection had become something real, something they'd built through trust, humor, and survival. Rescue came days later, and they returned as unlikely heroes, their love story becoming a sensation across the galaxy. But to Carter and Nyra, it wasn't about fame. It was about the bond they had forged, a life they had chosen together. As they settled into their new home on a lush, terraformed world, Carter looked at Nyra lounging under a canopy of flowering trees he had grown. "You know," she said with a teasing grin, "I think I let you win that lottery." Carter laughed, leaning down to kiss her forehead. "Sure you did." And in that moment, surrounded by the life they had created together, Carter couldn't imagine a better prize. Settling into their new life together on the lush, terraformed world of Verdantia had been both exhilarating and bewildering for Carter and Nyra. They had quickly fallen into a routine, their initial awkwardness fading as they discovered the depths of each other's personalities. The vast fields of vibrant flora surrounding their home provided endless opportunities for exploration, and each day brought new challenges and surprises. One morning, Carter woke to the sun filtering through the translucent leaves of the flowering trees. He stretched and glanced over at Nyra, who was still asleep, her dark hair fanned out around her like a halo. A sense of contentment washed over him as he admired her serene expression. The thought that this stunning alien woman was now a part of his life felt surreal, yet comforting. As he got out of bed, he made his way to the kitchen to prepare breakfast. He had taken it upon himself to blend some earth cuisine with the local ingredients they had found. Using the last of their preserved fruits and some leafy greens he had cultivated, he whipped up a colorful salad topped with edible flowers. Nyra soon joined him, her expression brightening as she inhaled the fragrant aroma wafting through the air. "What do we have here?" she asked, stretching her arms above her head. "Just something simple," Carter replied, plating the vibrant salad. "I thought we could try something fresh this morning." Nyra raised an eyebrow, a playful grin spreading across her face. "Fresh, huh? You really are getting into this cooking thing?" Carter chuckled, feeling a rush of warmth at her praise. "Just trying to impress my alien wife." "Mission accomplished," she replied, taking a seat at the table. The sunlight filtered through the leaves, casting intricate patterns on the surface as they dug into their breakfast. As they ate, Nyra's expression turned thoughtful. "What's on the agenda today, botanist? More terraforming? Or shall we go explore the surrounding areas?" Carter paused, considering their options. "Actually, I was thinking it might be a good day to check out that valley we spotted from the cliff last week. It looked promising for potential plant specimens, and I could use your keen eyes to help me spot anything unusual." Nyra's eyes sparkled with excitement. "Count me in. I want to see more of this beautiful planet." After finishing breakfast, they gathered their supplies. A small med kit, some basic tools for collecting samples, and a few snacks. As they ventured outside, Carter couldn't help but notice how vibrant the colors of the flora were against the backdrop of the cerulean sky. It was a world alive with potential. As they walked, Nyra trotted ahead, her long legs effortlessly covering the distance. She seemed to absorb the environment, her blue skin shimmering under the sun, which contrasted beautifully with the vivid greens and reds of the landscape. "Do you ever miss your home?" Carter asked, trying to keep pace with her. He couldn't imagine what it must be like for her, being away from her own world. Nyra paused, glancing back at him. "Sometimes, but I feel more at home here with you than I ever did back on Zila. There everything felt like a competition. Here it's peaceful." Carter felt a swell of pride at her words. "I'm glad you feel that way. I want us to build a life here, something that feels like home for both of us." They arrived at the valley, its sloping hills blanketed in a riot of colors. Exotic flowers bloomed in vibrant shades, and lush greenery stretched as far as the eye could see. Carter pulled out his scanner to analyze the area, excitement bubbling within him. "Let's start over there," he suggested, pointing to a cluster of unusual plants growing near a shimmering stream. As they moved closer, Nyra knelt down beside a particularly striking flower. Its petals were an iridescent blue, resembling the colors of her skin, and they sparkled in the sunlight. "Wow, look at this," she exclaimed, carefully examining the plant. "It's beautiful. Do you think it's safe?" Carter activated his scanner, the device beeping softly as it analyzed the plant. "It appears to be non-toxic. I'll take a sample. It might have unique properties we can explore." As he gently clipped a small branch from the plant, a low rumble echoed through the valley, causing both of them to pause. Carter exchanged a concerned glance with Nyra. "Did you hear that?" "Yes," she replied, her expression turning serious. "It's coming from the mountains." The ground trembled slightly beneath their feet, and the noise grew louder. A sense of unease filled the air, and Nyra stood, her instincts kicking in. "We should move now." Before Carter could respond, she was already sprinting toward the tree line, her long strides taking her farther away from the valley. Carter scrambled to catch up, adrenaline pumping through him. "What's happening?" "I think it's a quake. We need to get to higher ground," she shouted over her shoulder, the urgency in her voice compelling him to push forward. They dashed through the underbrush, navigating the thick vegetation as the tremors intensified. The noise grew louder, the earth shaking with a force that rattled their bones. They reached the base of a rocky outcrop and scrambled up, seeking the safety of higher ground. Once they reached the summit, Carter glanced back at the valley, which was now obscured by dust and debris. His heart raced as he spotted a cloud of dark smoke rising from where they had just been. What was that? He panted, taking in the chaos below. Nyra's expression was grave. It might have been a volcanic eruption. This area isn't well mapped yet, and we could be in danger if more eruptions happen. Carter swallowed hard, feeling a knot form in his stomach. We need to find shelter and assess the situation. Nyra nodded, her eyes scanning the horizon. There's a cave over there. She pointed to a shadowy opening in the distance. We can take cover there until things settle down. They carefully made their way toward the cave, keeping an eye on the shifting landscape. As they reached the entrance, the air was cooler, offering a respite from the chaos outside. Once inside, Carter took a moment to catch his breath, leaning against the cool stone wall. Nyra paced, her expression pensive. I didn't expect to face this so soon after moving here. Neither did I, Carter admitted, glancing around the cave. But we'll figure it out together, like we always do. Nyra smiled, a flicker of determination in her eyes. Exactly. Let's assess our supplies and see how we can survive until the quake subside. They sat down together, unpacking their gear. Carter's mind raced with thoughts of their safety, the plants they had left behind, and what lay ahead. He glanced at Nyra, who was focused, her demeanor steady. Hey, he said softly, breaking the silence. You okay? She looked up, meeting his gaze. I am. But this is a reminder that we're in uncharted territory. We need to be prepared for anything. Carter nodded, feeling a weight settle in his chest. You're right. We've made it this far together. We can handle whatever comes next. As they organized their supplies, the tremors outside began to lessen, the air growing still. Nyra took a deep breath, her gaze shifting to the cave entrance. Once this is over, we'll go back to that valley. There's so much potential for discovery. Carter smiled, grateful for her optimism. Absolutely. We'll turn this setback into an opportunity. For a moment, they shared a quiet understanding, their bond forged through adversity. No matter what challenges lay ahead, they would face them side by side. As they settled into the cave, waiting for the world outside to calm, Carter felt a flicker of hope. This planet was full of surprises, and while the road ahead might be uncertain, he knew that with Nyra by his side, they could face anything together. The tremors gradually subsided, but the atmosphere within the cave was tense. Carter and Nyra spent the next few hours listening to the distant echoes of falling debris and the occasional rumble of aftershocks. They had settled into a rhythm, checking their supplies, making small talk, and keeping each other's spirits up, but the uncertainty of their situation loomed over them like the dark clouds rolling in outside. As dusk approached, the cave's entrance was illuminated with soft light, casting flickering shadows on the rocky walls. Nyra had found a few small plants clinging to life in the damp corners of the cave and was carefully examining them, her fascination evident. Look at these. They're remarkably resilient, she said, brushing her fingers against the delicate leaves. They've adapted to the cool, dark environment. It's impressive how life can thrive even in the harshest conditions. Carter glanced over, a sense of admiration swelling within him. You really have a gift for finding beauty in the unexpected. Maybe we should take some samples of these for our collection. Nyra nodded enthusiastically. Absolutely. If they can survive here, they could be useful for our terraforming efforts. They set to work, carefully extracting a few of the small plants while discussing their next steps. Once we're out of here, we should prioritize scouting the surrounding area for any more volcanic activity, Carter suggested, a frown etching his brow. I want to ensure it's safe before we venture back to the valley. I agree, Nyra replied, her voice serious. But we also need to find a way to signal for help if this continues. If there are more eruptions, we might not be able to stay here. Carter thought for a moment, considering their options. We could try to modify our communicator. I have some spare parts in my bag. It's a long shot, but if we can rig it to send a distress signal, it might attract rescue teams. Good idea, Nyra said, her eyes brightening. Let's see what we can do. They worked diligently, the sounds of their environment fading as they focused on the task at hand. Carter rummaged through his supplies and found the communicator, carefully dismantling it. Nyra kept an eye on the entrance, her instincts heightened, always aware of any changes in their surroundings. After a few tense moments, they managed to rig the device, setting it to emit a distress signal every few minutes. As Carter powered it on, he held his breath, hoping it would work. The device crackled to life, and they both exhaled in relief. "Now we wait," Carter said, sitting back against the cave wall. He looked at Nyra, who was still studying the plants. "What do you think our chances are of getting rescued soon?" Nyra paused, her expression contemplative. "It's hard to say. The Galactic Union has protocols for these situations, but if the volcanic activity has caused widespread damage, they may be delayed. We need to be patient." Carter nodded, trying to stay optimistic, but the uncertainty gnawed at him. "Patience is not my strong suit," he admitted, a hint of frustration in his voice. Nyra smiled gently. "I understand. But remember, we've faced challenges before, and we've always come out stronger." Their conversation shifted to lighter topics, sharing stories of their home worlds, discussing their favorite plants, and dreaming about the gardens they would create together once they were back on solid ground. Laughter filled the cave, creating a warm cocoon that momentarily shielded them from the reality outside. As night fell, the cave was cast in shadows, and they decided to rest for a bit, hoping the worst had passed. Carter lay on his back, staring at the rocky ceiling, while Nyra curled up next to him, her warmth a comforting presence. "Do you ever think about what life will be like once we're back?" she asked softly, breaking the silence. "Yeah, all the time," Carter replied, turning his head to meet her gaze. "I picture us working side by side, turning this place into something extraordinary. A place where life flourishes. I'd like that," she said, her eyes sparkling with dreams of the future. "But I also hope we can explore more planets together. I want to see the places you love. I'd love to show you Earth," he said, his heart swelling with the thought. "The mountains, the forests, the oceans. There's so much beauty in our universe." As they talked about their hopes and dreams, sleep began to pull at Carter's eyelids. He felt a sense of peace, knowing that no matter the challenges ahead, they would face them together. Just as he was drifting off, Nyra's voice broke through the stillness. "Carter," she whispered, a hint of hesitation in her tone. "Yeah? Do you think we can truly build a life together? I mean, beyond this adventure?" He shifted slightly, propping himself up on one elbow. "Of course. This was unexpected, but it feels right, doesn't it? We complement each other. Your strength and determination inspire me, and I hope I can offer you stability." Nyra smiled softly, her blue skin glowing in the dim light. "You do, Carter. You really do." As exhaustion settled in, he wrapped an arm around her, feeling her heartbeat synchronize with his. "Then let's take this one day at a time. We'll find a way through this, I promise." The quiet of the cave enveloped them as they drifted into sleep, a sense of solidarity binding them together. They awoke a few hours later to the sound of rumbling outside, but this time it felt different, like a distant storm brewing rather than the violent upheaval they had experienced earlier. "Carter, we should check the communicator," Nyra urged, her expression shifting from sleepiness to alertness. Carter scrambled to his feet, heart racing as he approached the device. The signal light was blinking steadily, indicating it was still functioning. "I think it's still sending," he said, relief flooding through him. "Good," she replied, joining him by the device. "But we should prepare for any potential aftershocks or changes in the environment." They gathered their supplies and positioned themselves near the entrance of the cave, ready to react to whatever lay ahead. As they peered out, the landscape had changed. The once vibrant colors were muted under a layer of ash that blanketed everything in sight. "Wow, it's like a different world," Carter said, scanning the horizon. "It's both beautiful and terrifying." Nyra nodded, her expression a mixture of awe and concern. "We need to be cautious. The air might be toxic after a volcanic event. Let's stay low and avoid any exposed areas." They carefully made their way outside, staying close to the cave's entrance as they surveyed the damage. The valley they had admired earlier was unrecognizable, filled with debris and charred remnants of the vibrant plants they had once celebrated. "I didn't expect it to look like this," Carter murmured, his heart heavy with the loss. So much beauty reduced to ash. Life is resilient, Carter, Nyra said, placing a hand on his shoulder. We'll find a way to bring it back. We just need to be patient. As they ventured further, they came across remnants of what had once been their vibrant valley. Nyra knelt down to inspect a few charred roots. These plants might still have life in them, she noted. If we can save them, we could help this place regenerate. Are you sure? Carter asked, unsure about the viability of what remained. I can feel it, she replied, her determination evident. There's always a chance. We just need to care for them and give them time. Carter felt a surge of admiration for Nyra's optimism. He knew her conviction came from a deep-seated belief in the power of life. Okay, let's gather what we can and head back to the cave for now. We'll set up a plan for nurturing these plants. As they worked, carefully collecting the remnants of the once thriving ecosystem, Carter felt a renewed sense of purpose. The volcanic eruption may have devastated the landscape, but together, they could be the force that brought it back to life. They returned to the cave, laden with roots and fragile shoots, ready to start the healing process. As night descended again, they settled into their makeshift home, the glow of the stars providing a comforting backdrop. Tomorrow, we'll start the replanting process, Carter said, looking at Nyra with determination. This is just the beginning of our work. Nyra smiled, her eyes brightening with enthusiasm. I can't wait to see what we can accomplish together. With the cave now filled with a sense of hope, Carter and Nyra drifted into sleep once more, ready to face whatever challenges the future would bring, united by their shared dream of cultivating a new life in the cosmos.